Yo, 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 what's going on, guys? Joey Sherkenbach is back here with another video for you guys. And, guys, it's Saturday night. I'm going to be giving you my game picks for we're at 12 now of the 2021 NFL season. So let's jump right on into it. We got a lot of good games this week. First one, this is going to be an interesting game. We're starting it off early. 7-3 Bucks at the 6-5 Colts. So the Bucks, in general, I still don't think they're playing great. They did beat the Giants on Monday Night Football, but it was the Giants, and they did beat them by 20 points. But they're still not playing as well as they would like to. I feel like, I mean, the Giants are absolute garbage, and they only beat them by 20 points at home. And of course, before that, they had a 2-game losing streak, lost to the football team, and then lost to the Saints, and then lost to the football team. So. They're in a little bit of a skid right now. Perhaps they're starting to grow out of it, though, after that win against the Giants. Meanwhile, the Colts have to be the hottest team in football. I mean, I think they were, 3-5 at one point. They have Storms back, and they just dominated the Bills on the road, too. So the Colts are playing really good football right now. Jonathan Taylor is kind of playing like the next Derrick Henry in the sense that, no one seems to want to stop him, and he's just on a tear. So will the Bucs be the team to do it? I don't know. But the Colts are hot right now. The defense is playing better. The offense is playing much better. And again, Jonathan Taylor, running back for the Colts. I hadn't realized how good he was, but man, is he having a really good year. And he was good last year too, and he's a stud for sure. So it's in Indianapolis, and I know the Colts are hot right now, but I don't know if I'm going to take Wentz over Brady. In big games in the trenches, I gotta bet on Brady winning this one. So I'm going to go with the Bucs. I think it's going to be a good game, but I'm going to take Tampa Bay here, 31-28. Next game, guys, we have the 2-8 Jets at the 2-8 Texans. This is not exactly a very interesting game, but for this one, again, not a game anybody really cares about. Both teams suck. I don't even know. I think it's Flacco playing quarterback for the Jets now. Flacco Massacre, by the way. Jets coming off the loss of the Dolphins. Texans, they lose to whatever team they play. I don't even know who they played last week. But anyways. Oh, wait. Actually, that's not true. The Texans are actually coming off their best game of the season. They went into Tennessee and actually pulled off an upset. Okay, I got to stop here. So, Texans. That was actually pretty impressive. I mean, yes, the Titans are very banged up and still are. But that was still a pretty impressive win. I mean, they went into Tennessee and won pretty easily. So that is something. The Texans are playing with a little bit of momentum right now. And I guess why not? I'll pick them to get 2 wins in a row. You know, they're feeling great after that win against the Titans. It's in Houston. I'm gonna go with the Texans here, guys. I keep getting them backwards. I'm gonna go with the Texans here, guys. 24-20. But go Jets and Joe Flacco. Next game, guys, we have the 5-6 Eagles at the 3-7 Giants. So the Eagles are actually overperforming. I kind of thought they were going to be one of the worst teams in football. They're still hanging on by a thread. I don't think they're going to go to the playoffs, and I still could see them choking at some point, but they're actually hanging in there. The Giants suck, clearly. I mean, they have pieces, but I think what's really holding back that offense is the offensive line. I mean, Daniel Jones is definitely not great. Okay, he's not very good. But I think the biggest issue is the offensive line. Their receivers, Sterling Shepard, Kadarius Toney, I think is how you say it, and Galladay, who has been a disappointment, to be fair, but he, of course, has injury issues as well. Barkley, too, when healthy, is very good, but they can't do anything with their offensive line. It is awful. Their line, I was watching them last Monday against the Bucs. Now, granted, it was the Bucs defensive front, but the Giants' offensive line is just atrocious, and it just prevents the Giants from doing anything explosive on offense because Jones has no time to throw, and they can't run the ball either because their line won't block, or at least can't block. It was funny, even the announcers were talking about how bad the line is played. You know, announcers, they try to be professional and say, it's struggling, which is code word for it sucks. They were even saying, yeah, this line's horrible. So, the Giants' offensive line's horrible, and that's really been holding them back. And their defense is not playing as well either. Regardless, the Eagles are playing pretty well right now. They're overperforming. I'm going to take the Eagles here to continue their little streak. I'm going to take Philadelphia here, guys. 24-13. Next game, guys, we have the 5-6 Panthers at the 4-7 Dolphins. So the Panthers, of course, Cam Newton is back. It still does not seem to be. It is not fixing their problems. I mean, they got off to a great start against Washington last week, and then the football team kind of pulled off a nice comeback, and the Panthers fell apart a little bit. So taking that loss to the football team. Meanwhile, the Dolphins are on a little winning streak right now. They've won 3 in a row. They're playing better. The offense is playing better. The defense is playing better. Granted, besides the Ravens, where they were played impressively well, they haven't exactly played good teams. But hey, wins are wins. It's in Miami. This is gonna be an interesting game because the Colts are hot, but the Colts are hot, but the Dolphins are kind of hot right now. But at the same time, they're not good, and I kind of think the Panthers are the better team. But at the same time, I don't know, man. The Panthers, they're up and down. I don't think I'm not a big believer in Cam Newton. I think he kind of sucks. It's in Miami. I'm gonna take the Panthers here, guys. I just think that they're the better team overall. It's gonna be interesting to see Cam Newton go up against. I think Tagovailoa is healthy now, and he's the quarterback. I don't even know. It's either Tagovailoa or Brissett. But I'm going to go with the Panthers here, guys. They're probably looking for some momentum after that loss to the football team last week. I'm going to go with Carolina here, guys. Let's go with Carolina 27-24. Next game, guys. This is going to be a very good game. 8-3 Titans at the 7-4 Patriots. Now, it's not as exciting as it sounds. Even it is still exciting, but the Titans are without all of their playmakers. No A.J. Brown, no Julio Jones, no Derrick Henry. I mean, their 3 best players on offense are out. So that is going to throw a wrench into what the Titans want to do. And they just announced today the Titans placed A.J. Brown on IR, so he's going to miss at least the next 3 games, which is not a good sign for the Titans. All right, so Tennessee just got embarrassed by the Texans. So, yeah, I don't know what is going on there. I mean, they just lost at home to the Texans. Yes, the Texans had 1 win going into that game, and then they just beat the Titans. Yeah, so pretty embarrassing there. Tannehill had one of the worst games of his life. He was horrible. I think he threw, 3-4 picks? Tannehill had played poorly. So Tannehill, I don't know. My hype for him is lessening a bit. I had always been a big Tannehill fan. I thought he was really underrated, but he has not been playing great the past few weeks. He's been throwing more interceptions than he usually does. So, I mean, then the argument is he's a total product of Henry. I still don't think that's the case. He just might not be quite as good as I thought he was. But anyways, the Titans are very banged up. Their defense, it's playing a bit better, but it's still not good. It's still a liability. On the Patriots, meanwhile, they are hot right now. They're playing really, really good football right now. I think they've won, is it 5 in a row? Yeah, they're hot. The offense is playing well. The defense is playing pretty well. If the Titans were healthy, I would take the Titans, no question, but they're not. They're really banged up. And seeing at how poorly they played last week, I'm starting to think, again, I've always thought they've been overrated. And again, I know they're without all of their top guys, but maybe, I don't know. Maybe they can't overcome all the injuries. So I'm going to take the Patriots here. I'm conflicted because, part of me thinks the Titans, they're going to be pissed after that loss to the Texans. They're going to come out strong, but at the same time, they're without all of their top guys. The Patriots are hot right now. The Patriots are also at home. So I think, 2 is more than 1. So I'm going to go with the Patriots here, guys. I think it's going to be a great game, and I think the Patriots are kind of overrated too, but I still think they're the better team than the injured Titans. So I'm going to go with the Patriots here, guys. 34-30. I think both offenses will win the battle. 34-30 Patriots should be a great game. This should be a great game too. Next game we have the 5-4-1 Steelers at the 6-4 Bengals. So the Steelers, let's see, what did they do last week? So they're coming up. They tied to the Lions, and then I'm trying to figure out what they did last week. Yeah, gee, I take a second to get my memory back. Bengals, meanwhile, sitting at 6-4. They have been up and down, but they are coming off and a great bounce back win to the what's its face Raiders. Now the Raiders, you would think, oh, they beat the Raiders. The Raiders suck, but then the Raiders just played really well and won in overtime against the Cowboys. So the Raiders are still a team, and that was a great win for the Bengals. They played well on both sides of the ball. So we'll give them credit where it's due, and I'm just trying to find here. Right, that's who it was. So the Steelers are coming off that loss to the Chargers, which was actually a really good game. The Steelers' offense, probably their best game of the season, but at the same time, it was the Chargers' defense. Their defense is not good. But maybe it's something to build on. Again, they scored 37 points. Their defense did not play well at all, but at the same time, they were without their top guys. Minkah Fitzpatrick, Joe Hayden, TJ Watt. And I think, so I know Watt is back, who's obviously the best player on that defense. Hayden is questionable. I'm not sure about Minka Fitzpatrick. And yeah, the Bengals are weird because, like, they got smoked by the Browns, who had not been playing well going into that game. Then, they beat the Raiders. They have a bye. I think maybe it was the week before they had the bye. So, I don't know. The Bengals are really weird. They have pieces and they look good on paper. And some games they play great, but then other games they play like garbage. So this is going to be really interesting. I think both teams are okay, not great, and have a lot of consistency issues. I think both teams are kind of desperate for wins because, again, this is a division matchup, and both teams need to get the upper hand on each other. It's in Cincinnati, but at the same time, the Steelers are getting a lot of guys back. Now, at the same time, the Bengals did go into Pittsburgh and kind of own the Steelers. It was 24-10. The offense did okay, and then the Bengals defense played their hearts out. And now it's in Cincinnati. But I don't know. The Bengals seem to have a hard time sweeping teams, so I'm going to go with the Steelers here, guys. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be kind of low scoring, but I'm going to go with the Steelers here. Let's go 23-17 Pittsburgh. Next game, guys, we have the 4-6 Falcons at the 2-8 Jaguars. So the Falcons suck. What's new? The Jaguars suck. What's new? They got pieces, but they're too young. They're not coached well. So those young stars are not really going to go anywhere until they make those big changes. It's in Jacksonville, but the Falcons are clearly the better team. Not a game to really talk about too much. I'm going to take the Falcons here, guys, just because why not? Let's go with Atlanta. 28-17. Next game, guys, we have the 6-4 Chargers at the 5-5 Broncos. So the Chargers, coming off that big win against the Steelers last week, as I was just talking about. Offensively, they played very well. Defensively, they played poorly. And yeah, their defense just simply is not good. They can't defend the run, and their pass defense is not very good either. Broncos, meanwhile, very, very up and down. They play great, then they play terribly. They play great, then they play terribly. I still don't think they're that good. I think they're okay, not great. It's in Denver, and one thing about the Broncos, they do play much better at home. And the Chargers, I think, are kind of overrated. They're just really inconsistent, but they are coming off a great game, and they came away with a huge win. I'm going to take the Chargers here. Again, I like the Broncos, but I simply don't think they're that good. Whoever their quarterback is now, I don't know if it's Bridgewater or Locke is starting, but they're just not those guys. And their defense has been up and down, but it has injury issues, and I think that the Chargers are going to get the upper hand here. It's close, but when it comes to who is going to win the quarterback battle, Justin Herbert is much better than Drew Lock or Teddy Bridgewater. So I'm going to go with the Chargers here, guys. I think it'll be close. AFC West matchup. Those games have a habit of being close. But I'm going to go with the Chargers here, guys. Let's go with LA 31-24. I think it's going to be a good game and on the higher scoring side. This is the game of the week, at least for the Fox standpoint. 7-3 Rams at the 8-3 Packers. So the Rams had a bye. I think it was it last week? I think it was. Where they needed it because the Rams just got dominated by the 49ers. I mean, the Niners have been very up and down this year, but the Rams played pretty poorly in that game on Monday Night Football, I think it was. Packers, meanwhile, they're still not playing great, up and down, but the offense isn't playing as well. Rodgers is battling an injury. He has like a fractured toe, apparently. And he's playing through it, obviously, but he's not 100%. And it's one of those injuries that just nags at you, and it's really annoying. Kind of reminds me of that calf injury he had. I think it was 2014. He had like a really bad calf. And again, he played through it, but it was really nagging at him. I don't think it's as bad as that one, but it's still annoying, I'm sure. So Rodgers is not 100%. But the Rams, they are coming off a bye. But I still think they're kind of overrated, honestly. Their defense is up and down. It's coming off a rough game. And Stafford, I actually think he's gone from like the most underrated quarterback in the league to kind of overrated. He seems to really struggle to beat the good teams. I mean, again, he just got smoked by the Niners. So he's got to start beating the good teams. And I still like Stafford. I still think he's quite good. But got to start being more consistent. And he's got to start beating the good teams more. So this is a big test for him. And it's in Green Bay. The Packers are at home. I'm going to take the Packers here. I think it's going to be a close game, but I like Green Bay taking this one. Let's go with Green Bay. 31. No, actually, we're going to go a little lower than that. 27-23 Packers. Should be a very good game. Next game, guys, we have the 5-5 Vikings and the 5-5 49ers. So the Vikings. Oh, and that reminds me, I was trying to figure out who the Packers lost to. So the Packers are coming off a loss to the Vikings, a close, very funny game. I think that was in overtime, wasn't it? If it wasn't, it was a last-second field goal. And then the Vikings, of course, with that being said, coming off a nice win against the Packers. The Vikings are better than their record indicates. 5-5, that's very, very average. I mean, it is average. It's right in the middle. But they are a tough team, man. They play teams hard. They very rarely get blown out. I mean, it looked like they were going to dominate the Ravens. They did choke in the end. But hey, the Vikings are a tough team, and they have a lot of pieces. That offense is electric. Cousins, I don't think is great. I think he's okay. But Justin Jefferson is dirty. Adam Thielen. Dalvin Cook, when healthy, is very good as well. Their defense is not great, though. That's kind of a liability. Niners, meanwhile, they have been all over the place this year. They've had their great games, but then they've had their really bad games. They did just beat the Rams, 2 weeks ago. I don't know who they played last week, but the Niners, I think, have won 2 in a row, so they're playing better right now. It's in San Francisco, but I like this is a rematch of the divisional round game, Vikings-Niners of 2019. Anyways, I like the Vikings here, guys. The Niners are just too inconsistent, and I guess you could argue that about the Vikings too, but I think the Vikings are more battle-tested, and they're just a better all-around team. So I'm going to take Minnesota here, guys, to pull this one out. Let's go with Minnesota 24-21. Again, that should be a really good game, too. All right, guys, Sunday Night Football. Here we go. 6-5 Browns at the 7-3 Ravens. Man, weird schedule this year. We'll start with the weirdest part. Why in the world the Browns play us tomorrow, have a bye, and then play us again? Dang, the NFL. What did we do to them? That is trying to hand the Browns at least one of the wins. They go on the road to play us. They have a bye, and then they play us coming out of the bye. So, after the game, oh yeah, press conference, whatever happened, and now we get ready, we have a bye, and we get ready to play Baltimore again. What? Come on. So anyways, I'm not gonna keep complaining about that, but it is really weird. And then the Browns, performance-wise, have not been playing well. They've clearly underperformed. Their defense has been very up and down, but the biggest disappointment has been their offense, I think, especially Baker Mayfield. He is having a horrible year, throwing way too many interceptions, missing a lot of throws, and yeah, I'm kind of starting to eat my words on what I said about Mayfield because he is just playing poorly. I know he's playing with a torn labrum, I think it is. He's got arm and elbow injuries. He's got a foot injury. He's playing through it. So props to him. And I know you say, oh, well, he's not healthy. That's why he's not playing well. But at the same time, if he's not healthy, he shouldn't be playing. He's making the choice to play through these injuries. So it's kind of hard to give him excuses. So the Browns, they're coming off a 13-10 win over the Lions. Again, and I can't really talk because it took the Ravens a long record-breaking field goal to beat the Lions, to be fair. However, if the Ravens had just cleaned up a couple of mistakes made earlier in the game, they would have won by a bigger margin. I'm not going to keep playing that game, but I'm not going to rat on the Browns for barely beating the Lions because the Ravens did the same thing. But the Browns are just not, I don't know, they're underperforming. Maybe after a bye, they'll get it together. We'll see. But I think they're going to start getting it together tomorrow night. So my first thought earlier this week was I'm feeling a huge upset. Based off of what I've seen from a lot of Twitter users and just media in general, I don't think it would necessarily be called an upset. I think the Ravens are favored, but I think that there's a fair amount of disagreement. A fair amount of people are taking the Browns as well, and I am going to fall in that category here. The Browns, I know they haven't been playing overly well, but they also are getting guys back. Jack Conklin is back, stud right tackle. Kareem Hunt is back, that running back duo with Chubb and Hunt finally healthy again. And their defense, of course, has been very up and down. Ravens, meanwhile, hey, man, we're hanging in there. I know, 7-3, really proud of this team, man. Crazy win against the Bears last week. We know how to win in big games now. It's really, really, it's great to see. But I think the Browns are a really bad matchup for us. I've thought about this over and over again. You got, of course, that great running back duo. You got the best offensive line in the league. And the Ravens' defensive front is just not very strong this year. Of course, Wolf is out for the whole year with that back and hip injury. Brandon Williams is questionable. He's missed practice all week, so he's probably out. Calais Campbell has missed practice all week. I heard that there was hope that he was going to play because he's in the concussion protocol, so if he clears it, he's fine. So hopefully Campbell is in there, but even with or without Campbell, I think that we're going to lose at the point of attack, and I think the Browns are going to dominate the line of scrimmage. So That's going to be a big issue. I think Chubb and Hunt are really going to have big games, and that's really, really going to throw a wrench into our chances. So that's working in the Browns' favor, but also defensively, who is going to block Myles Garrett? I mean, our offensive line is clearly not playing well right now. We played poorly last week. Poor Tyler Huntley was in trouble every time. We let up, 6, 7 sacks? We played horribly. And now we have to block Myles Garrett. It's going to be Villanueva against Myles Garrett. And Villanueva has had his good moments this year, but he's also had his bad moments. And I know we're going to give him some help. We're going to use Boyle and Ricard to help chip him, but will that even be enough? I'm not so sure. Myles Garrett is playing out of his heart right now. He is definitely a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, and no one really wants to block him. So I think the Browns are a really bad matchup for us. And, as much as I don't think the Browns' defense is that good, their secondary has underperformed. I think it's exploitable. But what are we going to do if Jackson has no time to throw? And that's what I'm really worried about. I'm not sure that I think we're going to lose at the point of attack on that on both sides of the ball. And if you can't win the point of attack on both sides of the ball, it's really, really tough to pull off a win. I think that's going to be the biggest issue here, and that's why I'm going to take the Browns in kind of an upset. I mean, again, Browns-Ravens games have a habit of being close, and they have a habit of being kind of crazy. So I wouldn't say it's a huge upset, but it is going to be a statement win for the Browns. I'm going to take Cleveland here, guys. I think it'll be, I don't know if it's going to be too close. I think it'll be decently close, but I'm going to take Cleveland here. Let's go with Cleveland 34-23. I think they're going to frustrate us. I think we'll have our moments, but the Browns will pull away and win it 34-23. All right, guys, our last game here, we have the 3-7 Seahawks at the 4-6 football team. So Seahawks, we're so happy to get Russell Wilson back, but it still does not seem to be helping their chances. They're still not playing well. They're 3-7 now. So I don't know if they're giving up playoff hopes or not, but man, they gotta get it together. Football team, meanwhile, is playing better. I mean, they beat the Bucs, and then they just went into Carolina and beat the Panthers. So they're starting to play better. Their defense, again, very overhyped, but it's still, it's playing okay. They kind of settled down in the second half of last week. I think Newton and the Panthers kind of had a big first half, but then the football team's defense kind of tightened up in the second half. Excuse me. Of course, Chase Young went down against the Bucs. He tore his ACL. He's done for the year, so no more Chase Young for the football team. Of course, last game was their first game without him. So football team, they're at home, which I think really helps. It's gonna be interesting. This is you do wonder like how much will this impact Russell Wilson and the Seahawks, because they simply have not been playing great. I mean, they haven't been playing well at all. The defense has not been good either, but the offense has not been good either. So like you got a lot of issues here. The football team is also hot right now. The Seahawks are really cold. So I'm going to take the football team here, guys. For right now, Seattle just cannot seem to get it together. So I'm going to go with the football team. I think it'll be decently close, but I'm going to go with Washington in a low-scoring game. 21-13. I think their defense will play really well. I think their offense will struggle, but it'll play well enough to get the win. So football team wins 21-13. And guys, that is going to do it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to drop a like in the video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. And I am out. Peace out. Have a great night. Thank you so much for watching. Go Ravens, man. I can't wait for tomorrow night. And I will see you sometime with a recap. I don't know if it's going to be tomorrow night. It might get too late. I hope I can get it in. If I can't, I'll try to get it in during the week, and I'll keep you guys posted. Enjoy the games tomorrow, and I hope to see you then.